housekeeping. Trocheck out there again. How good is it to see him even with some injuries?
Great. Just his presence being around the group is, means the world. Just with his leadership, his energy, the fact that he joined the group today, suggests that he's getting closer. So it's great that he's out there with the group, but I think it helps the whole team overall. He's such a big part of this team in so many ways, both on the ice and off the ice.
Do you have a sense of how close he is?
No, not yet. I'll probably get a better sense over the next couple of days.
Like the road trip that you just went on, you win 3 in a row, you hit the 3 wins. What else did you get out of that road trip, other than the 6 out of 8 points? What did you get as a team out of that trip?
Well, I think we provided a lot of evidence for ourselves that if we play the game a certain way with the right intentions, and we're going to give ourselves a chance to win. That those are some pretty good teams that we played, and I thought the guys were committed to playing the game the right way, so to speak. And so I think that's a big part of it. I think we gained another level of confidence as a group. I think that was evident just through the jump in our step. I thought we had lost a couple of games at home, and we started to lose our swagger, so to speak. I feel like we regained that back, and that there's only one way to get that, and that's through investing and playing the game the right way. We use the phrase sweat equity, and that's that's the only way to get it back. And I thought the guys, to a man, were invested in just playing the game the right way, and so I feel like we got that back. I think we've got a clearer with each experience we go through. I feel like we can, I've said this all along. We're trying to define and refine what Rangers hockey looks like from an identity standpoint, and I think there was a whole lot of that went on in that trip.
Do you believe that sometimes you can play differently on the road than you do at home? You don't think that's an issue?
Yeah, I don't think because I felt like we played some pretty good hockey at home. We didn't get the results. I'm not going to say that every game was that way, but there were a fair amount that we liked. It's not like we're trying to put a certain game on the ice at home and then put a different game on the ice on the road. Was there a human element associated with playing at home versus playing on the road? There could be a little bit of that. I think the most important thing is just understanding, what successful hockey looks like for this group. And, I think that road trip provided plenty of evidence, to suggest that if we play the game a certain way, we're going to set ourselves up for success.
So Trocheck goes out, and obviously you stretch, put Meekin and JT on different lines to stretch out your depth a little bit. They're back together now. What you just like them back together? I mean, is that something? Because it could be easy with him still out to want it to stretch out that center depth a little bit more.
Well, that's what we did for a while.
For a while.
Yeah.
Keep it that way. I'm saying,
Yeah. I mean,
What do you like about them?
Well, first and foremost, they're two great players. I mean, they think it offensively. They have great offensive instincts, but they're complete players. They play on both sides of the puck. They're 200-foot players, both of those guys. Both of them can play center. Both of them can play wing. We've liked Mika at center. We feel like he has the ability to generate speed more, and that's been my observation in the short time that I've been together here with him, watching him play the wing and watching him play center. That's one of the reasons why we put him in the middle as opposed to JT, for example. But having said that, when you actually watch how they play, they're somewhat interchangeable. They both have a comfort level playing down low in the defensive zone. So they're two very good players. I think they've developed some chemistry. They have the ability to play a similar game. They're good in traffic. They can make plays off the rush. So they have some chemistry. So that's been my observation in watching them. And so, and there was a lot of reasons that went behind why we chose to put them together and load the one line. Our hope is that it'll help spark some of those guys offensively and get them going a little bit from a production standpoint. They had a lot of looks. They had a lot of looks in the games that we put them together, and in Edmonton and in the third period there, and then again in Seattle. So we'll see where it goes moving forward. But that's some of the reasons.
You probably can't do that unless Laba's game is coming along too, right? I mean,
100%. I mean, one of the things that allowed us to do it is the traction that we've seen with Lobs in his overall game on both sides of the puck. I think he's improving and developing and growing right in front of our eyes with every game that he plays. His learning curve has been steep, and so he has real good aptitude for the game, and so I think that's been a big part of it. And if we didn't have a comfort level there, we probably wouldn't do it.
Well, not this season here, where do you think you guys are at in terms of the identity you want this team to play? And obviously, well, a lot of the structure is there, the offense hasn't come yet, but where are you guys in that process of forming that identity?
Yeah, I mean, I think we're making progress. I don't know that we'll ever arrive, but I think our guys have a clearer understanding of what Rangers hockey looks like, or what it should look like when we're at our best. And so I've had a lot of conversations with the players about how we're trying to play, and I know to a man that these guys are embracing it. They like the concept. They're embracing it, and for me, that's a big part of it is getting everybody's buy-in. And it's hard to be good if you don't have everybody's buy-in and they're committed. But it starts with a belief, and I think when you can have some success and provide some evidence that, okay, if we play this way, we can have success, I think that helps with just reinforce the belief, and and it becomes evolutionary. But I don't know that you ever arrive. You're always going to strive to improve and get better. But I think our players, to a man, I think they have an understanding of what it looks like now. And then I also believe that part of that process and part of my job is defining roles. What's everybody's contribution to that? What are the expectations? And and they're different for different players. And so we've tried to communicate that to the players also.
Speaking of roles, what are you seeing from Susie right now as far as what he's doing?
I think Seuss is just a solid two-way defenseman. I think he defends pretty well, but he also has the ability to help us offensively. He can make an outlet pass. He can join the rush. He's pretty good at changing his angle on the offensive blue line to get pucks down to the net. I think that's such an important skill in today's game with how teams defend and the layers of shot blockers. That's a real important skill for a defenseman, and I think he's pretty good at it. So that's the role I see him, and how he helps us. He can help us with our transition game. He can help us get out of our end with our breakouts. But he defends pretty well. He's long, he's rangy, he's got a good stick, and he has the ability to be physical when he needs to be.
You both went to the decision to send down Austin. Just what more do you want to see?
So I'm sorry?
What went to the decision to send down Austin? What more do you want to see?
Well, we talked to Otter just about, attention to detail, a little bit of predictability, reliability with respect to his game away from the puck, and that being an important element of him, earning his way on the roster as a regular. Otter has NHL skill without a doubt. I think it's a lot of the subtleties, and that was a discussion that I had with him. But the other aspect of it is we don't want any one player, especially young players, sitting on the sidelines. He was in the West Coast trip with us. He played one of the games. We would rather see him get into, game action, so he has an opportunity to learn through those experiences. And that's part of it also. He's a young player. He's got a lot of his career in front of him, and so just balancing, if he's not in the lineup at the NHL level, does it make sense to have him as the extra forward, or does it make sense to allow him to go back to Hartford and get him into games and playing 18 plus minutes, and that's part of it also.
What did you like about Yaroslav's start over some of the other guys down in Hartford who have maybe been out here before, Berard, Perot?
Well, based on the conversation that I had with Chris Drury and Ryan Martin and Grant Patolny, he's been their best forward. And so I think it's as simple as that. He's played extremely well for him, and he's deserving of getting the call up, and that's why he's here. I think it's a great message for everybody. Performance matters. It matters. It matters in practice. It matters in the games. Whether you're in New York or you're in Hartford, performance matters.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.